Okay, what's up, guys? So today we're gonna build a Flask app. We're just gonna build the basic Flask blog. This is like the very classic Flask tutorial. So right now we're in my uh, neural network examples folder, but we're gonna get out of here. Oops. Okay, and we're going to create a folder for our Flask blog. So we'll do Flask blog tutorial. I'm gonna call it live stream. Live code, whatever. Yeah, here we go. And then I'm gonna go into my code file. I'm gonna open up that folder. Um, can you still see this? Does this still work? Okay, cool. Nice. Okay. So here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna start by just creating a simple Flask. So let's see what Python we're working with. Let's call this hello.py, main.py. We are Python 3.10. Okay, that's fine. Let's see if I have Flask activated here. So first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a virtual env here. So virtual env, I'm going to call it, let's call it Flask blog. Let's call it Flask blog env. So now I'm using Python 3.9. That's fine. Yes, so let's do that. So let's activate that folder. Okay, conda deactivate. I need to uninstall conda. But anyway, source flask blog, venv, bin slash activate. Okay. Pip install flask. Pip install dash dash upgrade pip. Okay, cool. So let's start. So our main blog from Flask, import Flask. And then we'll create an app equals Flask. I think name here, which would be main, I think is what it's going to be called. At app.route. So this is the index. This is the main page. We're going to define a function that just prints hello world. Hello world. Okay. So this is the basic, returns hello world. This is the basic screen, I guess, for a Flask project. So this is what a basic Flask project looks like, and I think if we do here Python, oops, Flask, maybe Flask run, maybe. Oh, I forget how to run Flask. Oh, Flask app. Okay. Oh, it's supposed to be app.py. Okay. Um, hmm. Uh, mm, export? Py, maybe? Oh, right. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, so now if we go to this, which you will see if I switch the screen to, yep, there it is, it says hello world. Okay, now let's go back and create the rest of our project. So first we're gonna create a folder here, Flask R. This is the gonna be the folder for containing the project, like the folders for all of the apps that are going to run, uh, all of the files that are going to run the Flask app. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make this app into we're going to make this folder into a package using the init py. And in init, we're going to create a Flask. We're going to basically create the Flask app. So we're going to create a function that creates the app. So def create app. So we'll do test config equals none. And we will create the app. So we'll give the app equals Flask, app equals Flask, name, and instance relative config. Instance relative config equals true. And we'll get app config from mapping. Config from mapping. This doesn't look right. App.config from, yeah, there it is, from mapping. So this gives our config basically like this adds like the mapping to our config from environment variables. So this just tells us that we're in the development environment, and we're going to add a database as well. Well, os.path.join app.instance path, and then the name of the database. So Flask r.sqlite. So we're going to use a SQLite database for this project. You don't always have to use SQLite databases. This is just an example of it. It's like SQLite comes with Flask, so we're just going to use this as a example database. So if test config is none, that means we didn't pass it. We're going to use a file that we've passed, basically. From file, there it is. Config.py silent equals true. So this means that it's just not gonna like say anything about it. Else app.config.from file test config. So the test config is going to be a config, from mapping. That's going to be the configuration file, and it's going to look something like this. And then let's see if the instance folder exists, basically. So try os.makeDirs app.instance path except pass. So if we can't do this, like, we just skip it. And then we add in that hello world code, basically. There we go. And then we just return the app. Did we create the app? Yeah, we created the app. So that's basically all there is to that. So let's delete this. We don't need this anymore. We also should stop this. Now, if we want to run this, we can do Flask app Flasker debug run. Am I just wrong? Oh, oops. Export Flask app equals Flasker. Okay, well, I'm following a tutorial, so this tutorial is just straight up wrong. I'm going to link the tutorial in the comments, but I guess this tutorial is just wrong. What? Let's just do Flask run. Load. Okay. Okay. So let's just ignore this and try again. Yeah, okay. So now, if we go here, we should, yep, see the same thing. Cool. So that works. I'm going to Control C this. I'm going to do that, and then we're going to create a database. So the way we do that is we go here, and we create a file called db.py. And this will be SQLite 3. So import SQLite 3. Click. Oh, cool. Click is already clicked. So I have a click tutorial. It's on Assembly AI's website. And from Flask, import. What am I importing from Flask? Current app and G. What's G? I think it's the global variable. G is a special object that is unique for each request and is used to store data that might be accessed by multiple functions during the request. So it's built in. It's an object that's built into Flask, which I want to know what version of Flask we're using. 2.2.2. So this tutorial I'm following says it's a 2.2.x tutorial, and the fact that it's not working means that there's something weird going on. They have a package called It's Dangerous? What in the world? Where did that come from? Okay, well, anyway, moving on. So we're going to create a function to get the database. If db not in G, so that means that if we don't have the database in our current global variables, we should create a new connection. G.db should be equal to SQLite3.connect, and our connection should do current app.config.database is probably going to be what it's called. Database. Oops. Detect types equals SQLite3.parse goal types. Yeah, I'm not really sure what the exact difference is between all the SQLite types, but we'll find out. And then we'll make a way to do rows. Oops. SQLite3.row. There it is. And then we'll just return the database. And if it is in the if DB is in G, then we'll just return the database. So we'll close the database. I think E is an error variable, just to make sure that if there's an error, basically. db equals G dot pop. Oops, pop. Or none. So it looks like G is a Q. Interesting. db is not none. If it's not none, then we close it. db.close. So I'm not really sure what E is for. And this thing doesn't really tell you. So we'll play around with it later in our extension and see what E is for. Okay, so now we need to go and we need to create a new. So I'm going to get rid of PyCache just because it's annoying me. You can just, it gets recreated every time, so you can kind of feel free to do whatever you want with that. But let's create a, let's create a schema.sql. So what happens is drop table if exists users, drop table if exists posts. It's a post table, it's a user table. Those are two things that we need for this. It's going to be, what we're doing here is we're creating a blog, right? So there's going to be users and there's going to be posts. Users are going to be able to make posts, right? So now we need to create the table. Create table. And this one's going to be the user table. And the user table is going to need the ID, a username, and a password. So ID is going to be an integer, and it's going to be the primary key. And we're going to auto increment it. Auto increment, yeah. And then there's going to be username, which is going to be a text, and it's going to be not null. And it's going to be unique. So unique, not null. And there's going to be password, and it's going to be a text, and it's going to be not null. And it does not have to be unique. Why is this getting highlighted? I don't know. Is password a protected? Is password a protected? Oh, here, I'll look this up in the screen so you can see it. Or, oh, wait, can you see that? Okay, well, let's see. Password a protected word in CSQL. I don't think it is. Drupal. I haven't seen this in a while. Drupal. Password. A, B, C, D, E, F. Oh, password is a protected word. Okay. So, well, that's kind of interesting. By the way, when you see the screens going like smaller, that's because I'm switching between them. Okay. That's interesting. Password is a protected word. Let's call it pass. I don't know if it does anything, but we're not going to follow the tutorial directly because I don't have to. Because I do whatever I want. And you can too when you learn how this stuff mainly works. I don't know. You can actually start doing whatever you want now, but you know, the more you fuck around, the more you find out. So this one's also going to have an ID. It's going to be an integer. It's going to be a primary key, and it's also going to auto increment. And then we're going to have the author ID. So author ID, which is going to be the user ID. And this is also going to be an integer. And then it's going to be not null. Then we'll have the created, which will be a timestamp. Created timestamp. It's also going to be not null, and it's going to be default current timestamp. It's current timestamp. I have two words. Current timestamp. Okay. And then we'll have the title of the post. Oops, title should be a text, and it has to be not null. Then we'll have the body, which will also have a text, and it'll be also not null. And then we'll have a foreign key. Foreign key, yes. And that is going to be the author ID, and it's going to references, yeah. The user, it's going to be referencing user ID. Okay, and then that's basically what we need for the SQL schema, the schema.sql file. And we'll go back to our database and we'll create a def init db. So this creates the database. db equals, is it g.db? db equals, oh, we'll just get it here. Nice, sick, okay. With current app, yes, dot open instance resource. Is it open resource? I think it might be open resource. Open resource schema dot SQL as f db dot execute script. So when we initialize the DB, we basically drop both the existing user and post table and then recreate them. Dot read dot decode UTF-8. Yeah, that should be good. Okay, I don't actually know if you need the dash there, but the tutorial says not to use dash, so we'll see. At click.command, so this is interesting because click is a command line tool. And I think what we're doing here is we're basically making a function that allows us to drop and create the command line from that creates the database from the command line, which I don't really know why we need to do, but we'll find out. Do we need anything here? I think we don't need anything here. Okay. Init db, and then echo, right? Click.echo, initializing user and post database. I don't know what they actually say in the tutorial, but this is what I'm going to say. So this database needs to be registered with the app, which basically means that we're gonna be able to reference it with the application. I don't know how to explain that any better. It's basically just registered with the application. Def register app, init app, and then we have to pass the application to it. And all we do is tear down context. Is that right? Tear down app context. Text close DB. So that means that when we close the app or tear down the context, we're going to call the close database command, and then we're also going to add a CLI command to the app that is going to, add command. That is going to allow us to create the, it's just, we can call it with Flask, basically. We can call initdb with Flask. Now let's go to initpy, and we'll go into our existing the create app code, basically, and we will from dot import db. And so this is why we need the init thing, so that we know that we are working in a package and we can import from the package. And then db.init app. So really this can happen anywhere. after we've set up the app. So I'm going to put it here. But it's up to you where you want to put it. Oh, whoops. Yep. And this is basically the database. So we can do Flask initdb, and we should have the database initialized. Oh, yeah. Okay. So I'm going to get rid of this. I'm just going to comment this out. I'm going to keep this commented out. Gosh, I don't know why they have this in there. Anyway, I probably need to be running the app first. So Flask run, and then we'll do another conda deactivate. I need to get rid of conda. We'll do Flask initdb. Flask app. How is it telling me that I couldn't do this earlier? Did I mess something up here? Why was it telling me that Flask app just was not? No such option app. This sounds like some. Man, this sounds like bullshit here. What? Bruh. Okay, here we go. Cool. So I don't know why it wouldn't let me do that earlier. That is so weird. What the hell? Can I? Let's see. Flask app. Flask R debug run. Can I do this? What do you mean? What does it mean? No such option at Flask. That's so weird. What? Why can I do that here, but not here? Let's run. Okay. I don't know. Now we should see a Flask.SQLite. Okay, cool. And we can't read it because it's SQLite. Okay, cool. So that's going to be all for this episode. In the next episode, we're going to go create some pages for our Flask app. Make sure you follow and subscribe and whatever,